We finna go live now. We good.
Con.
All right. Finna go into Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Make sure the volume on.
Where the phone at?
Oh, I'm going off.
I was like, what the hell?
They can still hear you, though.
I got like 3 minutes. It's on? All right, all praises to the Most High. Yahweh ba Shema Mashiach wa Malak Yahweh Shai. Right, we going at you. Salaki, we're coming at you with another Sabbath lesson. Right. Going into Genesis, the 3rd chapter, breaking down the precepts. Through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. Bring it out, Psalms 119, 104. It's one of my favorite precepts. All right.
The book of Psalms, chapter 119, should be popping up. Verse 10.
Make sure you're talking in the mic.
Verse 104. Through thy precepts I get understanding.
What the Bible say?
Through thy precepts I get understanding.
So through the precepts, through the scriptures, we gain the understanding of the Bible. Read on.
Therefore I hate every false way.
That's why we hate every false way, man. We hate adultery. We hate murder. We hate homosexuality. We hate pride. Because we get the understanding through the precepts.
That's right.
We hate false doctrine as well. That's why we have to go into the precepts and commit to sound doctrine. Right? So we're going to break down Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Let's get precepts.
You can bring out 2nd Ezra chapter 14, verse 1.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verse 1.
Bring that out.
And it came to pass upon the 3rd day, I sat under an oak, and behold, there came a voice out of the bush over against me, and said, Ezras, Ezras. And I said, Here I am, Lord. And I stood upon my feet. Then said he unto me in the bush, I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses.
Right, that's Exodus. Go ahead.
And talk with him.
And that's going into Yahweh Shai, right? Because Yahweh Shai was within that burning bush. So Yahweh Shai said, look, I manifested myself to Moses. Read on.
When my people served in Egypt, and I sent him and led my people out of Egypt and brought him up to the mountain of Sinai, where I held him by me a long season.
All right.
And told him many wondrous things, and shewed him the secrets of the times.
He shewed him what?
The
secrets of the times.
Uh-huh.
And the end. And commanded him, saying, These words shalt thou declare, and these shall thy heart.
So when Moses was writing the book of Genesis, certain things he made open and plain upon tables for our understanding. The other things he kind of sealed up, right? Made it a mystery, made it a dark parable, right? He made it a little more difficult to understand to your average person, right? So go to Psalm 78 and 1, Baba Kishar.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit.
Oh, praise. The book of Psalms, chapter 78, verse 1. Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth.
Right.
I will open my mouth in a parable and will utter dark sayings of old.
Right, so a lot of Genesis, especially the 3rd chapter, it's a lot of dark sayings, there's a lot of dark sentences in here. All right. But when we break it down through the spirit and bring out precept upon precept, it's not so dark anymore. Now it's pretty bright because it's plain upon tables to us. Right, go ahead.
Which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, shewing to the generations to come the praises of the Lord.
Right, we're not those type of dudes that be like, all right, yeah, we'll continue Genesis if you give us $10 right now. All right, go ahead.
And his strength and his wonderful works that he have done.
And what else to say?
For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel.
See, a law in Israel. There's one more.
Which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children.
See, so we have to make this known to our children. The wisdom and knowledge doesn't just stop with you. It doesn't end with you. You got to continue to teach people, your brothers, your sisters. Hey, if you have children, you got to teach your children. All right, that's it, the Lord.
I got a quick precept. It's the book of Psalm, chapter 49, verse 3. It says, My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my dark saying upon the heart.
Right, so we finna open up some dark sayings here, man. All throughout Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Right, there's plenty of dark sayings and parables and allegories and similitudes that it's going into, but we go break it down through the precepts, man, because the Bible is like a puzzle that you put together.
Right.
So we can go into it.
Like
Starting at Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1.
Bring it out. Genesis 3 and 1.
Bring that out, King.
The book of Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the fields.
Salakia. They see that as a spirit, right?
Yeah,
Now, a lot of,
man.
like Christianity, what would they tell us? It was an actual serpent that was slithering in his belly. These are some of the doctrines that they teach in these other religions and, other cultures. That's not what we teaching. Because when we read the scriptures, we understand that beast is speaking about man. Now, there's a long list of precepts we're going to go into to kind of prove it, right?
Give me Hosea chapter 12, verse 10. Right, because this serpent, like the brother's bringing out, is not an actual talking snake. Right, there's nowhere in the world that you could find a damn rattlesnake kind of sitting down with you having conversations. Right, damn whatever kind of snake. Right, they don't talk. So this is going into a man on the earth, and we're gonna break down the precepts. Hosea 12 and 10.
The book of Hosea chapter 12 verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets and have multiplied visions and use similitudes.
And use what?
And use similitudes.
So we're going to look up that word similitude real quick. Because in its truth, you got to look up words. You can't just read things. Oh, I just reading it. That's okay. No, you got to go into it, man. So similitude, the quality or state of being similar to something. Right? So a man can be similar to a serpent. And we're going to bring out the precepts on it. Ecclesiastes 3 and 18. So keep reading on to that.
It's like a simile too.
Right.
Comparing something using like or as.
And that's the root word, simile, right? Everybody should have learned about similes and metaphors within school. The little bit you do learn from the so-called white man in the school system. So he'll teach you about similes. He'll teach you about metaphors. So basically a similitude is a resemblance of something, similarity or the likeness. So a man can be likened unto a beast. A man can be a dog. A man can be a pig. A man can be a snake.
That's right.
Right? We have met many snakes in our life. Treacherous men. Bring it out, King.
Hosea chapter 12 verse 10.
Right?
I have also spoken by the prophets and have multiplied visions and use similitudes.
And use what?
And use similitudes.
So the Lord said, I use similitudes. Meaning I use resemblance. I use similarities. I use the likeness of things to compare to other things. Read on.
By the ministry of the prophets.
By the ministry of the prophets. So the prophets speak in similitudes. They speak in parables and dark sayings. Now again, this serpent is an actual man on the earth. Let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 18. Because man is personified as a what? As a beast in the Bible. Right? You may hear a lot of brothers always break that down because that's playing upon tables in the scriptures. Bring it out, King.
The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 17.
Right?
I said in my heart, God shall judge the righteous.
Ecclesiastes 3 and 18.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 18. I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them.
That God might manifest the sons of men. Right? So the root topic of this scripture is men. Read on.
And that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
Man is what?
Are beasts.
So man is personified as a beast in the Bible. So man can be a pig, man can be a dog, man can be sheep. The Lord compared the children of Israel to lost sheep. Let's bring that out. Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 6.
The book of Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 6. My people have been lost sheep.
What the Bible say?
My people have been lost sheep.
Hold on now. The Lord said the Israelites are lost sheep. Right? A sheep is what? Lamb, cattle. And we're like lost sheep. Because a sheep needs a shepherd. If they don't have a shepherd, they're going to go astray. So that's us as the children of Israel. Whenever we don't have stern and firm leadership, we are scattered abroad. We into different doctrines, philosophies. We hate each other because we don't have no set leadership. So the Lord said, my people have been lost sheep. Read on.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Our shepherds represents our leaders. Read on.
They have turned them away on the mountains They have gone from mountain to hill.
Let's get another precept on that. Psalm chapter 49 and verse 20. And these are all precepts proving that man is a beast. So again, that serpent was an actual man. Tyrus, right? Bring it out, King.
Psalm chapter 49, verse 20. Man that is in honor and understandeth not.
It said, man that's in honor. This man may have riches, wealth. He may be on a certain financial status and social status within the society. So this man has honor. Read on.
And understandeth not.
But he don't understand the words of the Lord. He's reprobate within his spirit. What is this man?
It's like the beast that perish.
He's like a what?
It's like the beast that perish.
And Jake say that in the world. I'm a beast, I'm a dog, I'm a hound. Right? Jake say all these different things. Right, read on.
That's it on that.
Con.
Grab Hosea chapter 7, verse 11. I got one more after that. Hosea chapter 7, verse 11.
The book of Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 11. And it reads, ask thee a sign of the Lord thy God. Ask it, either in the depth or in the heights above.
Get it out. You trying to read it again?
Isaiah chapter 7, verse 11. Ask thee a sign of the Lord
No,
thy
Hosea
God.
chapter 7, verse 11.
I ain't hear what you said.
Bring it out, bring it out.
The book of Hosea chapter 7, verse 11.
The book of Hosea chapter 7, verse 11. Ephraim also is like a silly dove.
He's what?
Ephraim is like a
also-
silly dove.
Right, Ephraim isn't then turned into a damn bird like that old book Animorphs. He's not turning into these animals. Right? He's likened to a silly dove because sometimes Ephraim, we know the nature of Ephraim. That's our brother.
Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, them so-called Puerto Ricans, man, they got the flavor, they got the style. They silly, man. Right? Go ahead. Oh, no,
Hosea
that,
7, 11.
it's like it. That's it on that.
Oh, yeah.
Now you can go to Matthew 25 and 32 by Bashar, and the brother got a point. All right, bring this out first.
The book of Matthew chapter 25 and verse 32. And it reads, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided his sheep from the goats.
See? So in this context, Israel, we're the sheep. That's Micah 2 and 12. We are the sheep. Right? That's his favorite animal. When you read the 2nd Ezra 5th chapter and 23rd verse on down, we're his favorite animal. Now the sheep, that's Israel. Who would the goats have to be? Everybody outside of Israel.
Nations.
Right? Especially Esau.
That's what-
He what's the word I'm looking for? He resembles the damn Billy Goat.
Con.
You know, especially when they get out that goatee, they got the buck tooth. You know, Ephraim, it's like Esau is a damn goat. You know, got the stringy hair, kind of weird. Those goats, if you watch a video, those goats, they mess around on them mountains. They kind of mess around on them things. You know, that's what Esau do. He dwell in the cliffs of the rocks. Them goats dwell in the cliffs of the rocks.
Call him a Billy goat.
And they got a pink belly too, I think.
That's all you wanted.
So like it's same thing with eagles, man. Right? Esau is personified as the eagle. We read Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. Let me bring that out. Then I'm
Yeah,
some
some
precept came.
Yeah, I had a couple
bring it out.
precepts. Give me Job 18 and verse 3. Through the Spirit.
Bring it out.
All right. Job 18 and 3.
The book of Job chapter 18 and verse 3.
Right?
And it reads, wherefore are we counted as beasts?
What the Bible say?
Wherefore are we counted as beasts?
Right, so hey, he asking, are we counted as beasts, right?
And reputed vile in your sight?
Right, and reputed vile in your sight, man. Right, so man understood that they were beasts on the earth. Give me 2nd Ezra 8 and 29. I got one more after that.
The book of 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 29.
Right?
And it reads, let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts.
They did what?
Which have lived like beasts.
Right, so this is Ezra, right? He's pleading for Israel, saying, don't destroy them that live like beasts, right?
But to look upon them that have clearly taught thy law.
But look upon them that clearly taught thy law. So man can live like beasts on the earth, man. Literally, right? You eating blood, you eating swine's flesh, you eating anything, you just doing anything, wilding out. You're a beast, man. Right? So go to Luke chapter 3 and 7. Here's an example of men literally getting called snakes. Hey, Jake called each other rats, man. Does it mean he's literally, he got the big two buck teeth and no, man. Right? He's a rat, meaning he's a so-called snitch, man. Right? Saying he's a snake, meaning he's a shiesty person. All right? Bring that up.
The book of Luke chapter 3 verse 7. Then said he to the multitude that came forth to be baptized of him, O generation of vipers.
What did he call them?
O generation of vipers.
Right, he called the Pharisees and Sadducees. He said, you're a generation of vipers. A viper is a snake, man. Right? That's what he called them, read.
Who have warned you to flee from the wrath to come.
Right, who warned you to come over here to get baptized, man? You're damn snakes and vipers. You damn Pharisees and Sadducees. Right, he was going in on them. Right, I got one more. Give me Luke. I believe that's 13 and 20 and 32.
The book
Bring
of
that
Luke,
out.
chapter 13, verse 32. And he said unto them,
So like
Go
you
ye-
start from verse 31.
Luke
Right?
chapter 12, verse 31.
Right?
The same day there came certain of the Pharisees, saying unto him, Get thee out, depart hence, for Herod will kill thee.
Right, he said, Herod's trying to kill you. This Edomite was trying to kill Yahushua, right?
And he said unto them, Go ye and tell that
that
fox.
Tell that what?
Tell that fox.
He said, tell that fox, man. Right? So he kind of got on him, man. He said, look, tell this, you know what I'm saying? He kind of got on him, man. Right?
Behold, I cast out devils, and I do cures today and tomorrow, and the third day I shall be perfected.
Right, he called him a fox, man. Right, a sly devil. That's what he said. You look, tell that devil this, that, and the third. Tell that snake, tell that fox this, man. Right, that's what Yahushua said, man. A mighty austere man.
God, Salakia, and that was a derogatory term in the days of old, to be called a fox, to be Salakia, to be called a serpent, to be called a dog. Right, Yahushua called a white woman a dog, man. Right, let me bring that out real quick. Right. So, hey, man, we're going into it. This is Matthew chapter 15, and I'll start at verse
26.
All right, this is well, it's another account. Let me see if this is what I want. This is one. Matthew chapter 15 and verse 21. Then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Zidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. Right, so a Canaanite woman is coming to Yahushua saying, Look, my daughter have a devil on her. May you heal her. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Verse 25. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meat, meaning it is not good, to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. So he called this woman a dog.
I got one more.
Reading on. And she said, Truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from the master's table. So she acknowledged herself to be a dog.
That's right.
Right? So that goes to show you that, look, Yahushua, our forefathers, they was mighty men, and they was calling people out their damn name, man. You a fox, you a dog, you a snake, you a viper. Right?
God. And I wanted to bring out that precept Karatas I pour, it's a mighty precept. Right, Leviticus 26 and 22 says, I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children and destroy your cattle and make you few in number, and your highways shall be desolate. Talking about the other nations. They gonna come like wild beasts and take you out, man. Right, that's part of the curse.
Nasty precept.
All right.
Which shall rob you of your children.
See that?
What was that, Leviticus 26:22?
Yeah, it's a mighty precept.
So again, that serpent was Tyrus. Let's get that. Let's get Ezekiel chapter 28. Salak, you can get it, brother. Ezekiel chapter 28, and I believe it's verse 10. Right, Tyrus, an ancient African.
Ezekiel chapter 28 and verse 10. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers. For I have spoken it, said the Lord God.
Right.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus.
Upon who?
Upon the king of Tyrus.
Upon the king of Tyrus. Read on.
And saying to him, Thus said the Lord Yahweh, thou sealest up the sun, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty.
Right. Read on.
Thou hast been in Eden.
What the Bible say?
Thou hast been in Eden.
So the Lord said Tyrus have been in Edom, right? Because he was that serpent in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Read on.
The garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardis, the topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, the carbuncle, and gold, and the workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created.
And these are, Salakia, these are all the stones that make up the priesthood ephod, right? So Tyrus was basically a priest on the left-hand side.
But can you count those stones again? One more time.
It's like it. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardis, 1. Topaz, 2. And the diamond, 3. Beryl, 4. Onyx, 5. Jasper, 6. Sapphire, 7. Emerald, 8. Carbuncle, 9. Gold, 10.
Right, that's right. Salakia.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 12. That's why we got it. Hey, that shows you that Esau, right, being that serpent, he's lacking. He's wanting in all things. Can you bring that out in Ecclesiastes? So he doesn't have the right amount of jewels on his chest plate. You know what I want? Ecclesiastes? All right, I'll bring it out. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 15. I got it. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting, meaning lacking, cannot be numbered, right? So he's lacking in all things, even with the damn jewels on his chest. So he's always imperfect. Nobody can make him, make him upright, because he's not upright in the eyes of the Lord.
Quick precept. This Exodus chapter 39 and verse 10, just proving that the priests had 12 stones upon their ephod, their breastplate. Exodus chapter 39 and verse 10. And they set in 4 rows of stones. The first row was a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This was the first row. And the second row, an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, and agate, and amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were enclosed in ouches of gold in their enclosings. And the stones were according to the names of the children of Israel. 12, according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, every one with his name according to the 12 tribes of Israel. So there you have it, man.
I got a quick precept. Give me Revelation 12 and 9. Going into the serpent, because this is before, Ham existed. So it's the spirit of Canaan, the spirit of Tyrus, the spirit of Esau, right, was in the beginning. The wicked spirit was here from the start, man, right? Cain had the spirit of the serpent. Esau had the spirit of the serpent, right? Ham, Canaan, they all had the spirit of the serpent in them. And this Adamite, right, this man, this serpent, he was the wicked on the earth. Right, bring that out.
The book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan.
Right, that old serpent, the devil and Satan, right?
Which deceiveth the whole world.
Which deceived the whole world, which is the so-called white man, right? But, hey, this serpent deceived Eve, man, right? So the serpent, it's nothing new under the sun with the Lord. Right, I got a quick precept. This is the book of 1 John, chapter 3, and verse 11. It says, for this is the message that we heard from the beginning, that we should love one another, not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, right? Of that wicked one going into being a seed of the serpent, right? It says, and slew his brother, and wherefore he slew him, because his own works were evil and his brother's righteous. So he was upset, man, just like Esau. He was upset that his brother had righteous work, and he was just a wicked devil, man.
Give me John chapter 8, verse 44. Right. So again, Tyrus, but the spirit of Canaan, spirit of the so-called white man, the spirit of the wicked. That's who the serpent was.
I won't say it, man.
Right.
The book of John, chapter 8, verse 44, and it reads, "Ye are of your father, the devil."
Now this is Yahweh Shah speaking to our people. right? 2/3 of the Israelites. He said, ye are of your father the devil, because you're doing the works of the so-called white man. Read on.
And the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning.
He was a what?
He was a murderer from the beginning.
Who was the first murderer on the earth?
Cain.
Cain. He slew his brother Abel. Let's bring that out real quick. Genesis chapter 4 and verse 8. Genesis chapter 4 and verse 8. But it reads thus. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him, meaning he put him to death. Why? Because he was jealous and envious of his brother. All right? So that's why the Lord said, 2/3 of our people, you're of your father the devil, because you hate your brother. You want to murder. You want to put to death your brother. You want to do shootouts and drive-bys, but you want to love the so-called white man but hate your brother. Okay? Keep reading on to that.
He was a murderer from the beginning.
He was a murderer from the beginning. Read on.
And abode not in the truth.
And a what?
And abode not in the truth.
Now, you know, the white man, he wasn't from the beginning. When you read Genesis chapter 25, that's when he was, Salaki, that's the birth of the so-called white man. But his spirit was from the beginning. That evil, wicked, and perverse spirit that the serpent had, that's the spirit of the so-called white man today. All right?
So
It's more than that.
precept. Move on.
Salaki is more than that. Yeah.
Because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. For he is a liar and the father of it.
He's what?
He is a liar and the father of it.
He's a liar and he's the father of lies. Talking about the so-called white man, bringing forth falsehood on the earth, killing and hating on his brother, right? Because just as Cain purposed to kill Abel, that's how Esau purposed to kill Jacob. Let's get a quick precept on that. Genesis 27 and verse 41. Bring that out, Ken. You got it.
Book of Genesis chapter 27.
Verse 41.
Verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob.
What the Bible say?
And Esau hated
It said
Jacob.
Esau hated Jacob. He hated his own brother. Scripture say, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Leviticus 19:17. But Esau hated Jacob. Read on.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherein his father blessed him.
Now here it is. Esau sold his birthright onto Jacob. But how you going to hate Jacob and blame Jacob? You the one that sold your birthright. So take some accountability, devil. Read on.
And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father is at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
I would do what?
Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Listen, I'm going to kill Jacob. Although that's my brother, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bones, I'm going to still kill him. And you have to have a wicked and evil spirit on you to purpose to kill your brother. Read on.
And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doeth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee.
Right, so, Salaki, read that again.
And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah.
Right, Rebekah, right, read on.
And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doeth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee.
Right, so Rebekah was looking out for her son. She said, look, this man Esau, he got a spirit on him, and he want to kill you, Jacob. Right? So you got to kind of get out of Dodge. But this is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So for the violence of the so-called white man against the Israelites, shame is going to cover him, and he's going to be cut off forever. Because after 1,000 years of hardcore bondage, he's going to be eradicated off the earth, thrown in that fiery pit, and burnt the hell up. According to Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18. Let me bring that out real quick. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it.
Time. Go back to Genesis chapter 3.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field.
Right. So to let you know that beast is referring to a man as man, right? But the serpent, right? That wicked he's the worst of the worst, right? Go ahead.
Which the Lord Yahweh had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Right now, it's a lot that we got to really touch on. So go to Genesis chapter 2. God. You got it.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 9.
I'll start at 8.
And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Right.
And
So you got the tree of life. You got the tree of life, and you got the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah, I had a quick
Right, go
point
ahead,
too where it said you got the trees that's pleasant to the sight, like it's beautiful trees, and then trees good for food, like an orange tree or an apple tree. But she's saying we can eat of those trees, which is going to continue in Genesis 3. But then you got the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Right? Your brothers have a precept.
Con. I want to jump to
I had a
pertaining to
precept
verse
on
9.
that tree of life. Yeah, I had a precept on the tree of life.
Yep.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 19, verse 19. It says, the knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life, and they that do the things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. Right? So the commandments, that wisdom and knowledge, that represents the tree of life. Right? The tree of immortality, man. I had another precept. Right, in Proverbs. Everybody had a point, so like in Proverbs.
And again, it's the tree of knowledge of good and evil is going into philosophy and doctrine. Right? This is what this is going into. Right?
So like, yeah, brothers had a precept to bring it out. I got to find this precept on it.
Something to say.
You can go to Psalms chapter 1, verse 1.
Yep.
the book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners.
Right.
Nor,
We already know. It's like we already know the story of Adam and Eve. They walked in the way of the ungodly, right? They walked with him. Go ahead.
nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law doeth he meditate day and night.
Go ahead.
He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
See, when you start keeping the commandments, you become a tree, bringing forth more fruit. Go ahead.
His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
Exactly. That's all I wanted.
I had another quick precept. It's Proverbs 3 and 13. It says, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. We'll jump to verse 17. It's still pertaining to wisdom. It says, her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is every one that retaineth her. Right? So that wisdom is the tree of life, man. It's plain upon tables in the scriptures. Right? Then you got the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Right? And that's going into the doctrines and philosophies of the other nations.
That's right. Keep reading that.
Oh.
You got a precept?
Yeah, you can go to jump in Genesis 2, jump to verse 15.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. And the Lord Yahweh took the man and put him into the garden of Eden, to dress it and to keep it.
Right, so this is that main Adam. He has dominion over not only the fowls of the earth, but he's that top dude already, right? He is in that superior position, all right? He's above the other nations. Go ahead. That's what it means to dress and to keep it, right? Go ahead.
Verse 16. And the Lord Yahweh commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat,
Right.
but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die.
Thou shalt surely die. All right, so we had to touch on a little bit of the background before we continue with chapter 3. All right.
Salakia, Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7 real quick.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 7.
Right.
And the Lord Yahweh formed man of the dust of the ground.
Right. So man was created from the elements of the earth. Read on.
And breatheth into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul.
Now that's twofold. Because as the scriptures say in Job chapter 11 and verse 6, wisdom is double to that which is. Right. So the breath of life is actually going into how the Most High made man a living soul. Right. Gave him the means to breathe and walk the face of the earth. But it's also going into wisdom. That's what the breath of life is. Let's get a precept on that. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7 and verse 24. For wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness. For she is the breath of the power of God. So wisdom is the breath of the power of the Lord. So the Most High gave Adam wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to govern the earth and have dominion over the creatures of the earth, as it states in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 9 and verse 2. And it say, and a pure influence from the glory of the Almighty, therefore can no defiled thing fall into her. So let's get Psalms like you. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 9 verse 2. It reads, and ordained man through thy wisdom. Who is the man, Salaki, the man that the Heavenly Father ordained? Adam, the chosen Adam. That he should have dominion over the creatures which thou hast made, and order the world according to equity and righteousness. Now, how do you order the world according to equity and righteousness? You must possess the attribute of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to govern this wicked and perverse world. And it's saying, execute judgment with an upright heart. Give me wisdom that sitteth by thy throne, and reject me not from among thy children. So the point is, the Heavenly Father gave Adam wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Here's another precept. 2nd Esdras chapter 3 and verse 5. And gave us a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands. And thou didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. So the point is, the Most High gave Adam wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And if you're not living in the sight of the Lord, that means you're dead. You lack wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. As it states in Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 16. Let me bring that out, King.
The book of Proverbs chapter 21.
In verse 16. So
Proverbs 21 and 16.
You want to live in these last days. You don't want to be spiritually dead. All right, bring it out.
The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding.
If you wander out of the way of understanding by going into sin and transgression and iniquity. Read on.
Shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
Shall what?
Shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
Shall remain in the congregation of the dead, which is spiritually dead, which is going to lead to the physical. Right? Read on.
He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man.
That's pretty much it on that. Right? So the point is, the Heavenly Father gave Adam wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right.
Go back to Genesis 3. All right, read 3 and 2 again.
The book of Genesis chapter 3 verse 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Right, that's going to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But they can eat of the tree of life. They can eat of the trees that's good for food. Right, read.
In Salakia, the Most High has had commandments from the beginning. He said, ye shall not eat of it. That's plain upon tables. The Lord didn't say, look, you know, you can eat of it sometimes, or you can only eat of it during damn harvest. No, the Lord said, you shall not eat of this tree at no time. Read on.
And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
What the serpent say?
Ye shall not surely die.
Just like a serpent coming at you with lies and deception to beguile you. Okay?
God, you lied. Right, can you read?
And that's why in Salakia, John chapter 8 verse 44 say he's a liar, he's the father of it. Right? So the serpent is the first known liar in the scriptures, man. You got it.
Can you get real quick Psalm 52 and 2? Let me see if that's it.
The book of Psalms chapter 52 and verse 2. Thy tongue deviseth mischief, like a sharp razor, working deceitfully.
Right, and that serpent came into that woman. Hey, look, hey, don't worry about it. You know, real smooth and
okay.
deceitfully. Yeah,
Not surely
yeah,
die.
just repent, whatever. You know, it's not that big of a deal. I think I saw somebody else eat it.
Just a tree.
Yeah, just a tree. So what? You know, he's really selling it. And Esau know how to sell damn near anything.
Man.
He sell current, and he know how to sell everything to you,
Sell
bro.
water to a well.
He'll sell water to a well. He'll sell the shoes that you got on your feet to you again. That's how crafty he is. So Esau know how to, you know, maneuver with his tongue. Yeah, Jacob, we what's the word I'm looking for? We know how to get by in righteousness. And a lot of Jacob know how to get by in wickedness, but Esau, man, they wicked with
They
it.
lie to you with a straight face.
Yeah, they on the left side with it.
Yeah, a good example of that is these politicians.
Mhm.
They're well-known liars, but they still keep a straight face. They know the hand gestures. They know the body language that they have to put off in order for you to believe them. They study these things,
That's right.
right? Jake, we know when you lying, man. Your eyes get big. You're stuttering.
You look to the left.
Right? You're rubbing your neck, right? You're humming. Look, man, we know when you lying, man. But when it comes to Esau, it's a little bit more difficult
Yeah.
because he's crafty, he's subtle within his nature like a serpent, right?
You got it.
Quick
Oh,
precept.
God.
Psalm chapter 140 and verse 1. Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war, being the so-called white man. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips. And that adder's poison represents their lies, their doctrine, their philosophy that they push out to the masses of the people, chiefly to you Israelites. Here's another one. Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 30. It reads, He shutteth his eyes to devise froward things. Moving his lips, he bringeth evil to pass. Let's get another one. Proverbs chapter 2 and verse 14. Who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of the wicked. Let's get another one. Micah chapter 6 and verse 12. It reads, For the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. It's like a damn snake kind of hissing at you, right? Telling you what you want to hear, right? Being subtle, creeping up on you, slithering. That's the spirit of the so-called white man.
You can go back to Genesis 3.
Genesis chapter 3 and verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
See, and I'm glad the brother was reading like that, because when you read the scriptures, you got to understand who's talking, right? Like you do with any book. And when you especially in this context, he's saying it in a crafty manner. You might saying it again, but in a crafty manner, because you got to really get into this book.
Genesis
this is your
chapter
book.
They teach you about tone in school, man. You got to have the tone, so on and so forth. And the Most High truly knows how to tune in a reader.
That's right.
Right? Because the Most High, he's the king of dramatics, man. He created dramatics, right? He created storyline and, things of that nature.
That's right. This book got a plot, the climax.
That's what they call it, personification, man.
All right. Genesis chapter 3 verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
Right.
For God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
See, now that part is not that's not a lie. That part's true. So what Esau does is he'll put a little bit of the lie in the truth. Right? He's already known for that right now to this very day. And there's thousands of examples. Right? And a lie was, he was said, Slakia.
He shall not surely die.
He said, you're not going to die. Don't worry about it. The
Which
Lord
is-
already said straight up, hey, you're going to die. You will surely die.
It's off.
But now the serpent said, no, you're not going to die. But the truth was, hey, you will be as gods knowing good and evil.
Yeah, so I was about to say that because Esau, sometimes he don't just flat out come at you with a lie. He kind of mix lies with the truth, and he does that all the time. So you have to be very mindful of this devil. That's why the serpent was called subtle. Let me just look up that word subtle real quick.
Sly, crafty,
Right?
moving in a way that's real low key.
Kind of wise, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very wise. Right?
That's
This
what-
is subtle. Especially of a charge or distinction so delicate or precise as to be difficult to analyze or describe. So that's why the white man deceives our people, because when they look at the white man, they think of him as, oh, he's a peaceable man. You know, he's always nice. He know how to have a conversation and things of that nature, but not knowing that in their heart they meditate war. They meditate on how to throw you in a pit, as it states in Sirach chapter 12, verse 16. What's that? Sirach chapter 19, verse 24. So the point is, it's a making use of clever and indirect methods to achieve something. See that? And that's the so-called white man. Because ultimately, he want to throw every last Israelite in a concentration camp. But he have to push out this whole poison. You know, we can't really say the word, but he have to push out this agenda, this pandemic, so he can come forth with his plans and his agendas on the earth. But he's masking it through a pandemic, right? That's how he kind of covering it up. So sometimes this might be hard to detect from people, but you got to be spiritual, man. Your discernment have to be up here to understand the ways of the so-called white man.
That's right. What we're reading is very deep, it's profound, it's very, very dark. You still got a lot of brothers in the truth. They think this is an actual serpent. I've seen this on Twitter, Facebook, all different sorts of social media, where Israel is saying, well, that's an actual serpent, and it talked. Now, you know, I know that because when I read in the book of Enoch, it tells me X, Y, and Z.
Jasher,
Yeah.
1351, and damn Jubilees.
Yeah, the damn Chronicles of Ruth.
Yeah, man. That's those books not gonna have the answers. All right. That's off. And I was about to make a point.
The secret letters, the apocalypse of Peter. There's a whole lot of folly.
Chronicles of Barnabas.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
Verse 6, Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food.
See, now she got deceived. She said, oh, okay, yeah, it is good now. Huh. See, she got manipulated. And that's what Esau does to Jake. To destroy the household, you go to the woman, right? Because Jake, you know, we already got a pretty much of a strong foundation. So to destroy him, you take down a woman. And that's what happens in a lot of these superhero movies. You know, you're going to have Lex Luthor taking Lois Lane. You're going to have damn villains taking Mary Jane from Spider-Man. The list goes on. Yeah, Peach and Mario. Bowser know how to get the... Yeah,
right.
That's Lois Lane and Lex Luthor.
Yeah, see that? All right, so hey, man, and that always goes back
to
so like your Proverbs 31:3, give not thy strength to a woman. But the point is, women are easy to beguile. You know, all you got, you come at them, you spit game, right? Now you all up in their head, man. So that's what the serpent did, right?
It's like you told the woman she could be a god, man. She kind of got enticed.
You can be a goddess, right? Love yourself, love your body. You can take off all your clothes. That's what Esau said to our woman, man. That's women empowerment.
Yeah. How's that
right?
women empowerment?
So like,
backwards.
And you can see that this day, like, you know, because it said Ecclesiastes 1:9, there's no new thing under the sun, right? So just like how they got the so-called black man out the household, how they do that? They gave him welfare, gave the woman welfare, man.
Yep.
They gave him power, liberation, right? To this day, man.
Right, because the men bring the assets within the household. But if a woman is looking to welfare, financial assistance, she's looking at it like, why do I need a man? Right? Mm-hmm. You know, that independent woman spirit. Who created that? The so-called white man.
That's right.
See, that's the corruption of order right there. Yeah.
You can get 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 6, Bob Bashar.
Say what?
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 6.
And again, this is pleasant to a woman. Oh, I can be independent. Oh, I'm my own God. I don't need a man for nothing. Ooh, I like that. I like the way that sounds. I don't want to be submissive. I don't want to be passive. I can wear pants. Right? We was edifying an elder sister yesterday. She said when she was coming up, women couldn't wear pants. But the so-called white man passed legislations and laws and told her that she could put on pants. In the 60s. Why did he do that? To keep our women in sin.
That's right.
Right? To beguile our women. Right? To lead them in a way of wickedness. Right? You got it.
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1.
Verse 6.
Verse 6, Salakia. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and led captive silly women, laden with sins.
What does it sound like? It sounds like Genesis all over again, 2.0. Go ahead.
Led away with diverse lusts.
Diverse lust and what?
Ever learning and never able to come into the knowledge of the truth.
See that? So, hey, that's Genesis 2.0. You know, you had people even during their time, They creeping into the houses saying X, Y, and Z. That's where you get the old term, a wives' fable from, right? Wives' tales. Because Eve probably overheard Jake talking, and it's yeah. And then brought it back to her sisters. And then that's how doctrines get produced.
I was going to say the serpent was going off in the first place for talking to a married woman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, we got to pay attention to that. This serpent was a devil, man.
Yeah.
He had a wicked and evil spirit on him. Why would you want to go, I'm going to talk to this married woman and kind of put a bug in her ear so she could kind of go tell her man, right? So I can overthrow Adam. That's very, very crafty, man. Right? So this man is an expert at war. You really sit back and analyze it.
And Esau is shameless. It's saying Sirach 42 or 41 Salakia, it is a shame to look upon another man's wife. He's shameless. He don't give a damn.
Go ahead, brother.
And he knew that the woman was a weaker vessel.
Yeah, he knew that the woman was a weaker vessel. Esau knows these things, man. That's why he gave your woman financial assistance, welfare, Section 8, food stamps, so she don't need you for nothing.
Right.
So you can get kicked out of the homes. That's why he put crack in our community, right? So we can sell it, so we can murder each other, so he can lock us up for the rest of our life. This is the craftiness of the so-called white man. This is war, man. We at war, right? War just squaring up. No, man. Esau, look, I'm going to sit back and analyze this man. I'm going to know him better than he know himself. I'm going to get to his woman. I'm going to go to his children. This man is an expert at war. You got it, brother. Go ahead. Yeah, Sirach 25.
Look at Sirach chapter 25 and verse 24.
Excited, man.
And it reads, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die.
See? Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die.
That's right.
Right? So brothers got to be mindful of that, When you're dealing with, Salaki, when you're dealing with every woman in your life, you got to be mindful of these things. Because Satan, he going to come to your woman first. Not saying that Satan can't come straight up to you and attack you. Sometimes Satan do that. But Satan know if you a mighty brother, you in the spirit, nothing really can't get to you, he going to come through your woman. And that's where you got to revert back to the scriptures, read these accounts, so you don't get caught out there. Proverbs 31:3, give not thy strength to a woman, nor thy wage to that which destroyeth kings. Because Adam was a king, man.
I want to say that, too. I wanted to add there, too, and say, hey, Peter got Satan put on him, man. Right? So, hey, Satan kind of hopped on Peter to try to get Yahweh out the spirit. And Peter is a mighty man. He walked on water, man. Right? A mighty man was healing people, bringing it out, walked with Yahweh Shah, right? Seeing the transfiguration. And Satan still hopped on him to try to get Yahweh Shah out the spirit. So how much more your woman, man?
And one quick point.
They can easily get the devil on them, man. You know what I'm saying?
And you got to be able to perceive that they got the devil on them. Because Yahweh Shah, he looked at Peter and said, look, get behind me, Satan. Right? Because he seen the devil and he seen that spirit that was vexing Peter. So you got to be spiritually discerned. You can't be naive in this thing. Oh, brother, she doing this, brother, she doing. No, brother, it's Satan doing that, man. It's Satan vexing their spirit. It's Satan trying to get you out the spirit. You got to be spiritual.
Receiving that all the time.
Kinda, you gotta know war tactics as well, man.
Yep.
Right? You gotta be like, I gotta set up a fast. You gotta perceive that it's Satan. I gotta pray for it, You gotta know, because our weapons of warfare is not carnal, man. Right? So you gotta know that, man.
Oh, let me bring that out. I gotta bring it out. I would be slack and remiss. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12. Right? So again, war is not just about, you throwing up your dukes, you squaring up, putting on gloves. That's what Jake think war is about.
I got a gun.
Picking up a gun. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So our fight is not a carnal fight. It's a spiritual fight. All right? And I believe it's another one in 2 Corinthians. But I can't think of it right now. So we're going to go ahead and go back to it.
All right, read the last verse again. Not the last verse of the chapter, but where you left off. In Genesis chapter 3.
3 and 5. He ain't finished 6.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat.
See? But, hey, if you want to find out what happened next, you got to come back next week. All right? Or to be continued for a part 2. Because this is a very long, in-depth chapter. All right? It'll be going off not to go over this. We got to go over this whole thing, man.
That's fine.
There's a whole lot to go into. So, Abba Ratisa, you know, hey, Lord willing, we not here. You know, all hell break loose.
God.
But if we are, you know, hey, we're going to dive into it.
God.
The Lord's will.
All right.
With that, come Yashala.
Come Yashala.